Sound quality. I just wanted to do a quick screen recording to talk about my favorite text editor. This is Sublime Text 3. It's a freeware program that they will ask you to pay for, but I don't think there's any obligation to pay for it. One of my favorite features about this, and one of the reasons I downloaded it initially, was the option to change your color scheme. From the get-go, it comes with some blues or purples color schemes. It comes with black on white, white on black. There are websites where you can design your own custom color scheme. I have a strong preference for a black background and a lighter text option. Here I picked a gray, but you can make it your own. Another key feature to this is the fact that you can include folders in this text view, and this can show all kinds of documents, including text. It will try to, including text and pictures, it'll try to interpret a lot of things as text. So it might come out garbled, but Sublime Text as a text editor for programmers is great at looking at all kinds of files that maybe you don't know the right program to use. I like using Sublime Text for indented notes in particular. So I have this file here where I have some sort of top-level discussion, and I can write as much as I want about that. And then, middle, lower end, I can add more detail. That looks like any sort of bulleted list you would use ordinarily. But a really great feature about this, I think, is the ability to fold things. So what I just did there was I made information collapse under the parent level. It's described here as code folding, and we can fold everything, we can unfold everything, we can fold to a particular level. So let's say I only wanted middle information to be shown, so I can Command K and then Command 2, and look, now we've collapsed everything down to middle information only. Command K, Command J expands everything, and then if I just want to fold under my current parent level information, I can hit Command Option, close bracket, or open bracket to see more detail and to hide relative to different topics. So if I wanted this to be sort of project 1, I can talk about the hypotheses and the methods and the discussion. And from a brief look at the sort of second level of folding, let's say I wanted to expand, let's say I wanted to expand the methods. Now we can just look at the methods and hide sort of irrelevant information. This helps especially when you're taking a lot of notes on sort of, say, an annotated bibliography, and you really want to maintain a hierarchical structure to your note-taking. The next thing I'll point out is sort of multi-line editing. So ordinarily, if I wanted to add info and add info to what I was doing on these two levels, I would have to do that again and again, or I could copy and paste. One thing I like about this is that if I highlight both of these rows and hit Command-Shift-L, suddenly I have two cursors. And I have two cursors that are sort of right on top of each other, and I can add detail below each that's copied. Let's say that instead of adding more information to 2 sequential rows or 10 sequential rows, I regret that I used the word middle here, and I wanted to instead talk about level 2 information. So I can hit Command Control G, and every time it says middle now, I have a cursor, which behaves a lot like find and replace, but find and replace doesn't give you sort of this live preview of sort of thinking through what you would want to be doing. I now have level 2, And let's say, oh, it looks like after level 2, I've got a bunch of spare information and it's inconsistent in size. Let's say I just wanted to delete everything after level 2. Now, I sort of, by using this command right, I select everything between where my cursor was and the next carriage return, and I get to just delete that. That has some unfortunate consequences sometimes, because I think I just deleted some folded code in places, and you have to be really careful about folding something up and then deleting it. And you can see on the right here, I go from having quite a few lines between these two things to deleting more than 10 lines of information, which could be a lot depending on what you're deleting. So this multiple selection idea can be great, but you have to be careful. Another thing I'll point out in this hierarchical style of note-taking beyond this code folding is that, let's say I had a very long document. Well, over here I get a live preview, and I can sort of scan this and know, oh, there's something odd about the way I took notes here. This seems to be just a full paragraph pulled from somewhere, and maybe that live preview helps you find something you didn't know there was before. But this is just for plain text. The beautiful thing about Sublime Text is that it is familiar with lots of programming languages, and I don't know 95% of them, but I do know LaTeX. LaTeX, in broad terms, is a scripting language designed to generate PDFs. And I've used it for that purpose, but I've also used it for the purpose of, within the context of these hierarchical notes, highlighting specific words. So a backslash in this color scheme will give me green. I can use a $sign to make things blue and orange. I can use some double quotes to give me certain things. But what color things will become is dependent on your color scheme as well as the particular programming language you pick. So let's say you've worked a little bit with R code in the past and you're familiar with the color scheme of R code, and you want to use that in your note-taking process. Well, there it is. I picked LaTeX in particular because, because LaTeX is designed to have a lot of plain text in it, and the norm is your default color of text with other things around that. So it worked for me, but whatever programming language you pick can have different consequences and might impact the way you take notes for yourself. One consequence of my learning LaTeX is that I now, color scheme, forget for view, is that I now maintain my bibliographies, my reference lists through this bibtext format. And I suppose I could make a whole other video about what it means to take this and turn it into a reference list. But this is sort of a snippet of code that Google Scholar will give you, and you can just sort of paste all of them into one big file in making your own bibliography and not have to worry about whatever paid system maintaining information inconsistently. It's all right here, all in a plain text format that I appreciate, and I especially hate having to navigate through GUIs that seem to change every year. But anyway, Sublime Text 3 is free. It's in whatever color you want. It can help you use folders to organize information. The indenting is really convenient for keeping notes, and syntax highlighting, so long as you're learning the particulars of some particular programming language, can be really useful for highlighting different components of what you want to discuss. All right, hope that helps.